Hello, my name is James Lewis and I'm a lettering artist based in the UK. In this tutorial today, I'm going to be teaching you the basics of beginning with a brush. Now, before we get started with painting letters, we first need to select the correct brush for the letter strokes we're going to be using. So right here we have a number 5 brush. As you can see, the edge very chiseled. Very much new brush, you can see it's not very messy. We've got another brush here that's a size 6, so the size up, you can see there's a big change here. Very much well used brush. And as you can see, we're going to basically put the brush on top of our letter form here. And you can see that this one is a little bit too big. So we're going to go back to our 5 now. As you can see that this one is sort of just the perfect size. And this is always really important because you don't want to be using a brush that's too big for the letter strokes, because that's going to give you a lot of issues and it's going to make it a lot harder to get consistent strokes. So before we begin painting, we're going to be mixing our paints. So what I've got here is Grog Aqua Pro paint. Now you can use any brand of high flow acrylic paint. This is pretty much watery consistency. It's very, very thin. And we're going to be mixing that with some matte medium. This is going to add some viscosity to the paint and also give it like that flat matte finish at the end. So I've got a tub here, let me open this. Now we're going to be mixing it to a ratio of around 70% paint and then 30% matte medium. So now once we've got all of our materials in, I'm going to close that up nice and tight, make sure nothing's leaking out. We're just going to give it a little shake just to mix everything up. Perfect. Now the consistency you're looking to achieve is something around double cream. So it's not like really thick like a ketchup, but it's kind of thin enough that you'll be able to put it on your brush and it won't drip off. So we'll have a look at that now real quick. So we're just going to test out that this paint is the consistency we want. Dipping it in now, we don't want to get much of the metal covered in paint, so we're just dipping it in. And as you can see, we're just going back and forth, keeping this edge really flat, and just making sure that all the bristles are covered in paint. Now that looks to me like a perfect consistency. You can see that it's not too thick, so there's no like excess paint, it's not going to drip off. And then just going to practice just on our palette here. And as you can see, we've got this nice consistency. It's still quite watery, so we've got this nice high flow, but it's still quite pigmented and you have like a nice color to it. So now that we've got our paint ready and we've selected our brush, we're going to move on to beginning with our brush lettering. So we're going to be moving on now to the easel. When we're doing brush lettering, we want our surface to be parallel to ourselves so that we have a good flow of motion with our arm. So I'm going to tape this on to our easel. That looks nice and secure. Now over the top of this, we're going to be using some tracing paper. Tracing paper is great for practice, and also we don't want to be getting too much paint onto our booklet here. So now that we have everything in place, we're ready to start painting. We're going to make sure that we're level with our surface, and we're going to find the angle of the shape that we're going to be painting. Now the easiest way to do that is you place your brush flat angle and you find the flattest point. As you can see, that's here. So we're going to be using that angle. Now I'm going to go over this and I'd like you to follow along and do as I do. So make sure that you've got everything set up now, and I'm tasking you to basically do as I do. So starting off, we're going to have our fist here, and we're going to have our hand over the top. Now this gives us a nice amount of leverage so that we can freely move this, this brush here. So starting off, we're going to go really slowly with the right angle of our brush first. We're going to press that down. Apply pressure. Bringing it down. And then as we get to the bottom, we're going to twist our brush the slightest bit. And then bring that up here. Like so. What we're going to do now, we're going to continue along. And what you'll find is the more we'll do this, the smoother it'll come out and the better that you'll get at this first basic stroke. So once again, just following along, taking your time, applying more pressure as you go, releasing pressure as you come on the upstroke, as we learned with the brush lettering, and then lift off. And as you can see here, what I've done, I didn't apply enough pressure as I first put it down, so we have this little gap here. And you could easily fix that by lifting that up, like so. Don't be afraid to go back over and tidy these lines up. Again, this is all just practice. You'll start to feel like the brush is drying out a little bit. You'll need a bit more paint. So once again, we're just pulling out. Make sure to do 1 or 2 of these just to make sure that there's no excess paint on the brush, we don't get any drip. And once again, we'll go back and we'll continue these strokes. So now we're moving on to our second stroke. Similar to the first, it has up and down strokes. This one begins with an upstroke, comes around and then down. And this is the sort of stroke you'd see letters like the N or M's, things with the terminal. So once again, we have our fist on the canvas board here. We're holding our brush sort of 3 centimeters away from the metal here, the ferrule. Placing it down. Twisting a little bit as we get to the top. And then releasing pressure as we come up. Let's do that again. Now this final stroke, we have a rounded shape here. This is like an excerpt of a letter A. And we're just using this again just to start to understand these rounded shapes. We have downward strokes now, we have up strokes, and then this is the rounded shape. So similar as we did to these previous ones, we figure out the angle of our brush by seeing where the thinnest bit of the line is here, and then following this around. What you'll see that's different in this shape is that we have 2 separate strokes here. We have this first stroke, and then we have this second one here. And I'll just show you how we do that now. Applying more pressure as you get to the bottom, and then lifting that pressure as you pull it up. So that's our first stroke. And then we're going to start a little bit inside our first one here, and do the same on the way up. So as with the above forms, we're going to be working on this third one here now, going across this line, and you'll notice that the more you do it, the more precise and accurate these forms will become. So now that we've completed this third line, I just want to quickly point out a few things. You can see here that I've lifted my hand a little bit too quickly, and that hasn't given us the sharp edge that we're trying to achieve with these other forms. And then similarly here, I didn't go back in close enough, so you got this like wobbly line here. Feel free to, similar to what I've done this way, you can start a little earlier on and do your brush stroke all the way around like that, as long as you make sure you've got enough paint. And what that's going to give you is this smoother edge here, which is what we're trying to achieve. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Make sure to subscribe to Domestika. If you want to learn more, check out the description below.